Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to bring you the second video in my video series called Creator School. The first episode was on colors, and that episode set the building blocks for all the other episodes in the series. So if you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's super important. Go watch it. And for this episode, I'm going to talk about two things. We've got layering is the first thing, and block design is the second thing. And after I talk about those two topics, I will have my special guest, Pan, join us to talk about his thoughts and maybe give some tips and tricks on layering and block design as well. So, without further ado, let's get to it. I'll start out with talking about editor layering. So, this use of editor layering allows you to organize your creations. That way, you can better find what you're looking for and make necessary edits. So today I'm just going to give you a quick rundown on how to use the editor layering to organize your creations a bit better, and just some useful things there. And then we'll get into Z order and Z layering after that. So for example, I'm just going to make a quick block here. Okay, so you can see I've got the glow, I've got the rocks, I've got the base block there. Like I said, pretty simple block here. It looks terrible. I'm not going for looks here. Just trying to show you. So on all, if I try and select, this rock, I didn't get to select the rock. I clicked on it and I got the red block underneath. So that's kind of frustrating. And like I said, as your creations get more complex, the more and more you'll run into this problem. So that's why it's essential to use these editor layers to organize your creations. So as you can see, I can just come to layer 1, select the rock, no hassle, no trouble when trying to select it, as if I was in this all view mode here. Another useful thing is if I want to select all the rocks at once, instead of having to click on each of them individually, I can go to the layer that they're on, and from there I'll go to the pause menu and I'll hit select all. So this allows me to select all the objects on that editor layer. Alright, so I can do that for those. If I want to select all the glow, same thing. I've got only the glow here. The rocks and the base block are left behind. Now if I want to select all the objects in my level, pause menu, select all, I've got all of them. But like I said, editor layer allows you for better control and organization on your creations. So that's pretty much it for editor layering. Like I said, super important, especially when your creations get really complicated. So the next thing we're going to talk about is Z layer and Z order. All right. So what I've gone in here is I've just made a borderless 4x4 block to demonstrate the differences between your T layer and your B layer. And so when I say T layer and B layer, what I mean, so if I select an object and I go to edit group, you can see down here at the bottom, we've got these Z layers. We've got B4, B3, B2, B1, and then we've also got T1, T2, and T3. So these are pretty much B4 through B1 are your background layers, T1 and through T3 are your foreground layers. So what that means, I'll kind of demonstrate what that means. So let's say I select B4. This is going to be your layer farthest away from you if you think of it in 3D space, and T3 will be the layer that's closest to you. So we'll start at the very back at B4. So I'm going to set every object to B4 Z layer, and what this means is one thing about the B layer is everything on the B layer will go behind the player in the level. So let me show you an example of that. If I hit play, this is all on layer B4. As you can see, the Cheez-It went right over the top of that big red square. And so anything you want to go behind the player, put it on the B layer. Now, for the T layer, let's go ahead and go T3. That is everything that's going to go in front of the player. And I'll show you an example of that. So everything's on layer T3. And as you can see, the Cheez-It went behind the big red block this time. So everything on the T layer, your character or your vehicle will go behind, or everything on the T layer, your character will go behind it, and everything on the B layer, your character will go in front of it. So kind of use that knowledge to say, okay, this stuff's in the background, all that's got to be on the B layer. Oh, this is an overlay, or oh, these are laser effects, they're on the T layer because I want them to be in front of the player. So the next thing we're going to do is Z order, and we'll also talk about blending and how that plays into your Z order as well. So now that we've talked about Z layer, I'm going to talk a little bit about Z order and then throw in a little bit of knowledge about blending there as well. So for example, if you got two solid objects and you want one object to be on top of the object, let's say I want this red object to show on top of this blue object, I will blue object set to T1, I'll set it to Z order 1, and then this object I will set to T1 Z order 2. Drag that over the top here. Boom. Alright, Z order. The object that has a higher Z order will show up on top of the object on a lower Z layer. So blending throws a curveball to this whole situation. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set two objects, one to blending and one not to blending. Let's go ahead and do this red blended. So you can see we've got this red blended color here, and it is going to be on T layer 2, Z order 2 as well. So the thing with blending and solid objects is if I was to put these on the same layer T1, it might not behave how you would expect. Even if I set it to Z order 3 or even Z order 10, you would expect it to appear on top of the solid object, but because the rules of blending don't really make a lot of sense to somebody new who doesn't understand, how photo editing and all that stuff works, it won't appear on top like the solid object over the solid object does. So with blending objects, if you want them to appear over the top of a solid object, you have to go ahead and make the Z layer one higher. So in order, so like the numbers in Z order, we've got 1 through 999, right? And then Z layer, we've got B4 is the lowest and T3 is the highest. So we've taken the blending object, we've set it to 1 Z layer higher. So now it will appear on top of the solid object, and you can see it blends together. The red and the blue make this nice like pink purple color here. And so with blending, one thing I really like to do, this is a pro tip, I will do 2 different glow colors and have them blend together to make a nice a nice color combination, a mixture here. So to kind of drive this point home, I'm going to go ahead and set up a couple pieces of glow. This one I'm going to just set to blending of that red color, and I'm going to make this on T layer 1.9 because that's the default, sure. And then I'm going to take this smaller glow, the smallest glow actually, I'm going to set it to this orange color that's blending I've created, dark orange. I'm going to set this to a layer higher. Let's go T2.9, so it's 1 Z layer higher. I'm going to drag that over the top of this red. So now the red and the orange have mixed and you have this nice sunset color. So that's like a pro tip I like to do with glow. I'll start off with talking about the different styles, like I said. So we've got modern, and so I'll show you an example of modern levels and modern block design. As you can see, the modern block design isn't super detailed, but it uses its colors nicely, and it helps drive the point across the level. But seems like the focus of a modern level is more of the ambiance or the feel of the level versus how each individual block looks. The next type, the mainstream type, I guess you could say, would be core. So core is definitely the busiest and has the most going on of any other of the mainstream deco styles. Core just has so much going on. It has a lot of different variations in colors, different designs, a lot of connection, a lot of movement going on. So like I said, very busy, but if pulled off correctly, Core is one of the best looking styles. The next one type we have here is Glow. Glow utilizes colors and gradients and the glow pieces to emphasize the block versus the specific pieces that go in it right there. And the other style, mainstream style, is tech. So tech style stands out on its own because it just kind of looks technical. I don't know really how to explain it, but if you look at it, you can see the certain design blocks that go into a textile. They look mechanical. Those are like the four main styles, or the mainstream styles, that you could do. But what the useful information I'm going to give you is how to move beyond those styles and try and make your own style and use your level theme to help you create your own style. First of all, you got to have a good theme for your level. And so I've got two examples here of levels with great themes, and their block designs don't really fall into any of the four mainstream categories I talked about. So the first example is going to be Ouroboros. The block design works for the level. If you put that block design in any other level, it probably wouldn't work. The block design is specific to the theme of the level, which allows it to blend together and really drive home the point of the level, and it really allowed Ouroboros to excel as a great level overall because the theme was so well, and all the attributing factors of the theme, such as block design, kind of played up the level theme. And the same goes, I've seen a lot of great space levels, minimal block design really, but it just emphasizes the openness, the space backgrounds, you know. It just really emphasized the theme of the level. And while you could consider this example modern, I'd really say it's its own deco style because it fits more with a space theme, and it might not work in any other level. It fits well for that level and that level alone. And this is what really will take your level to the next level, make it stand out from all the other competition, is if your block design goes with your level theme and doesn't necessarily fall into one of the previous mainstream styles that I mentioned. That's really how you get the attention of people. That's really, if executed well, that's really how you get those creator points, is have a great level theme, execute it well with block design that supports that theme. And so when you have a theme chosen, like I said, you could end up making a mix of styles, of the mainstream styles, or create your own style if just executing well on your level theme. And when you create your own style, that's how you become a well-known creator that stands out from everybody else. So many creators just have their own style. So for example, Goose style is his style. Like, you can look at some block design and be like, wow, that's Goose's style right there. And our special guest last week had Slay. He's got his own style too. Two great creators, and they've made their own little niche level style, block design and all, that has allowed them to excel and grow in the community and be known as good creators. So that's, like I said, I wasn't going to talk about how to specifically make a text styled block or a glow style block, but I was going to go in more theory on, you know, the mainstream styles and what you should really go for, such as a level theme, and maybe just create your own style based on your theme. And honestly, when you're choosing a theme for your level, what I've done for more of my recent levels is go on Google Images, kind of think of an idea that would be cool to base a level off of, type that into your search bar in Google Images, and just look around until you find some pictures that you like, and then from there just start creating blocks that would potentially fit in that picture, that would go with that picture. But yeah, use all those to get your feet off the ground and start creating that next feature epic worthy level. And now it's time for our special guest, Pan, to give us his take on layering and block design. How do you stay motivated when making a level that's, in a collab part, I feel like it's a bit easier because you're like, I only have to do 10-15 seconds of this, whereas, or like a mega collab, I guess, or another collab you might do longer, but you do small bits. But when you do a solo, you got like a minute, 2 minutes, maybe even 3 minutes of you do it all. How do you stay motivated, really?
Dude, why are you asking me? I haven't uploaded solo in like 2 years now. Like, to me, that was the best time to make levels because I didn't really try to like make anything impressive for everybody. I just made things that was impressive to me. I guess for now, I would say make a schedule for yourself. Like, you need to make or just sit down and work on something for an hour or something like that. And that's like the best way you can motivate yourself if you don't have drive like I do. I just found out that Npes is following me on Twitter. This is sick.
Oh, dude, nice. You're officially popping off on the Twitter then if you got Npes following you.
Exactly.
It's like the topic of today and kind of what I was gonna the main focus of this interview is going to be. So try and helping new creators like myself get off the ground and go from making levels for fun that a few people like to making levels for fun that a lot of people like, and maybe someday it gets noticed and gets a couple cents or something, maybe even a rate. But just kind of going from that step of zero experience to how can I make something that doesn't look like complete garbage, I guess you could say. So the first topic I want to go into is layering. So I'm sure as like a beginner it's really confusing, layering in general, like what's the difference between the B layers and the T layers. How come some objects don't appear on top of each other and when like they're on the same layer but others do, just that kind of stuff, like all these nuances that nobody really ever tells you about. It's just kind of how it works. So I've got a few questions here and I'll kind of ask, and hopefully we can get some good answers and everyone can learn a little bit. So the first question I've got for you is, when you're making a level, are there any layers that you think should be reserved for a certain aspect of level? For example, should layer B4 be reserved for all the background stuff? Should T3 be reserved for like your overlays and some effects and stuff like that? Do you have any sort of formula or regulations that you follow when you make a level?
To be honest, no. I don't have a single way of like reserving B3 or T3. I will say though, I tend to use T3 as my main like transition.
Okay.
But honestly, that doesn't matter too much because I would use my Z layers. It's kind of complicated. Like, you have the B1, B2, B3,
Right.
T1, T2, T3, but then you have the actual Z layers that controls all of that too.
Right.
I prefer that as my main way of reserving.
Can you give like a simple example or explanation on how layering and blending work together? So like if I have an object on one layer and I turn blending on, like, what layers does the blending roll up into? How does all that work? Because I know I kind of understand it, but I'm a little bit fuzzy, so I'm sure anybody who has no idea what they're doing would absolutely be so confused by blending and layering, and how just changing it from like T1 to T2 completely makes it look different type thing.
Have you ever used Photoshop or any editing tools?
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah. Okay. Have you ever used the blending options, like with different layers?
Not particularly. I usually just do like color blending. If I do like pixel art, like to kind of get the colors to blend together on like an intermediary pixel, but not between layers now.
So like when you think of it like that though, if you have, let's say you have 2 layers, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you try to put a color on top of another color on the same layer, it just like goes over that, right?
Right.
But if you put it on a different layer and then change the blending of that,
Mm-hmm.
It actually kind of blends the color in depending on what you're doing, right?
Right.
That's the same thing for GD. When you
Okay.
have the B1, B2, and B3s, T1, T2, T3, all of those are kind of like different layers in a photo editing software.
Okay.
So to have something blend together, they either have to both be blending or be on different layers of that kind, you know?
So for a new creator, what is like? Do you have any tips and tricks or like any nuances that you've kind of picked up from your years of experiencing creating levels when it comes to like layering?
So if you have a custom shape that you want it to glow but look natural,
Right.
you want the base to not look like to not have blending and then just put glow on top of it
Okay.
on a different layer. That's like the best thing you can do with layering that isn't like extremely niche. Do you see how instead of making the actual outline glow with like blending,
Yep.
I surrounded it with different layers of blending?
Yeah. Yeah, I see
So
that.
yeah, like do you see how with the branches it goes over the actual text?
Right.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is you want to work layering into this kind of stuff if you want to go into artistic things or anything complicated.
I've looked at as many of your levels as I had time to look at, and you've done like so many different styles from core, and you've done like glow, modern, kind of a modern twist. What would you say the easiest style is for a creator to start with?
Um, no style.
No style? Okay.
Just make whatever comes to your mind.
Okay. Yeah.
A lot of times it comes out generic because then you just try to get inspiration from someone.
Sure.
But it doesn't matter. If you want to just learn how to create, don't pick a style. Don't
Okay.
limit yourself.
But like, what's your like for this style? What's your favorite block to use?
Honestly, all of the blank ones.
Yeah.
Like, the simpler the block, the more versatile it is.
And then the kind of last question I have around block design here is similar to layering. Are there any like nuances or tricks for block design? That you want to give a new creator. So you talked about like the simple blocks are the best ones. Do you have anything else beside that?
Uh, what makes a good block design for most levels is the color. That's all it is. It's just the color.
Color.
Anything else is very, very minuscule.
Next question I got for you is how do you come up with ideas for air decoration or block design?
What I do instead is give myself a theme. Always give myself a theme of what I want to do. And then I will make art versions of that.
All right.
My favorite food is definitely can't think of it actually. All I can say is Chick-fil-A is like by far the best place to get food.
All right. Whoa. Okay. So I'm guessing you like Chick-fil-A. Have you ever had the Popeyes chicken sandwich? Do you?
Yeah.
And it's Chick-fil-A still better?
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. I'm gonna have to just delete this whole interview. I'm disappointed now.
Well, good to know because I'm not coming back.
Rip. No, I'm just kidding. I like Chick-fil-A. Personally, I think it's a bit overhyped though. That's just my opinion. Like I said, I like Chick-fil-A, but I'm not like I'm going to Chick-fil-A if I have a chance type thing. I'm like, I've had Chick-fil-A last time. I'll go somewhere else this time. But I feel like that's a famous debate there.
And I just think you're wrong, but that's whatever.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. That's fair. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, even if they're wrong. So that's what I'm all right with that. So that's going to be it for today's episode on layering and block design. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. That way I can keep making videos like this. And also, if you know a creator, somebody that has a lot of knowledge on a specific subject when it comes to creating levels, comment them down below and maybe I'll have them as a special guest on the next episode. So I'd like to say thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.